As a baby, we're merely curious about this brand new world that we just entered. And we literally just want to try everything, right? But the one thing that we want to do the most is learn to walk. And after we've taken our first few steps, we want to explore that curiosity in depth. So then we start to discover more of the yeses and the nos, the rights and the wrongs. And like myself, I knew the word no all too well. I'm sorry, Steph, you can't play that character because you're not a boy, said Mr. Insert Tutor's name here. I was studying drama back in college, my last year. Got handed the script. Had 4 main characters, 2 guys, 2 girls. And I confidently went to my tutor and said, I want to play this character, which was a guy. I said, I can commit to this character. My tutor said, no, you can't. And because I wasn't willing to play any of the other characters, I decided to play a chicken. Chicken had 2 lines. I was okay with that. But from that line that my tutor said to me, changed my whole entire life from then forward. I then began to explore my identity a little bit more because I wanted to uncover and unpack these feelings that I had as an individual and understand the world a little bit more different from my perspective. So then I went on to creating a project called Through My Eyes, which is what you see on screen now. Through My Eyes was his story, it was her story, and it was my story, which made it our story. The guy in the black was the story that I related to the most. His name was Mikkel, once known as May. The lady in the orange was his mum. The lady with the braids was his twin sister. And the guy at the back was his older brother. Now, Mikkel was struggling to find his identity, but when he found his identity, he wanted to just own it. He wanted to live in his truth. But the one thing that he wanted the most was acceptance. Now, he gained acceptance from his mum and his sister. But the biggest struggle was his brother. This is a story that predicted my gender transition in 2013. This was me as a little baby in 1993. 2014, I decided to embody what I call a social transition because I wanted to unpack these stereotypical labels that had stigmas around them. And I started with the L, the G, and the B, and the T, LGBT community. And I realized that I fit into the T, but the T stood out from the L, G, and the B. So again, I felt isolated, I felt alone. So I went through a depressional state during those times, 2014, 2015. I had a very small support system around me, but I had myself. And because I went downhill, I understood that I needed to make this transition in order to make myself feel accepted. And Through My Eyes was a part of that journey because it helped me share my vulnerability. My vulnerability as a human being. I was naked at the eye. I was scared of what other people would say. I was scared of the judgments that were thrown. I suffered with anxiety. I suffered with depression, just like most of us in this audience. But I knew I had to pick myself up. In order to be able to navigate through my next chapter of my life, I needed to make this transition. And yes, it was a gender transition, but if I never did this gender transition, I wouldn't be able to socially transition. I wouldn't be able to sit in a crowd full of people and feel okay to be myself. I wouldn't be able to leave my house. I wouldn't be able to essentially be me. And in 2016, I looked in the mirror and I said, I know this guy. This is the guy that was hiding inside of me this whole time. And the fact that I predicted my gender transition through my craft consumed the whole of my life. It's what I used to love. It's what I love doing. Filmmaking, directing, being able to tell those stories that people are afraid to speak about. Being able to just unpick and unpack and understand all these stereotypical labels that, we indulge in. Everything that identifies us. I needed to understand who I was and who I was going to become. And from discovering my identity, I then understood that my identity isn't 100% of me. It's not all of me. There's so much more to me than my identity. So once that was dealt with, I was now able to move forwards, able to navigate through my career socially in the way I feel comfortable. So I had to make myself feel uncomfortable and vulnerable in order to be able to stand here today and disclose this information to you. So to move forward, I told myself every single year I want to leave a legacy. And from the moment of Through My Eyes, every single year, apart from 2014, because I was working on Killing Emmanuel in 2014, got released in 2015, I made a film. And this is all I wanted to do. But like I said, I couldn't do it because I never had the confidence to, because I never felt I would be perceived the way I see myself. So from 2013 up until 15, 16, and 17, I have been leaving legacies behind because I want to be known as Steffan Zachiyah, the filmmaker, not Steffan Zachiyah, the trans man. I'm a man of the trans experience, but that does not dictate my whole identity. So I want you guys to repeat after me. You have to know who you are. And know where you're coming from. In order to know where you're going. One more time with conviction. You have to know who you are. And where you're coming from. In order to know where you're going. Peace.